Let me first of all say that I cannot speak on behalf of the government of Nigeria, because this is something that, it is being, handled by the government. But as far as the private sector is concerned, I believe that this is an important, very important agreement. This is from, the private sector's perspective. It is important because if it is achieved, it will strengthen, the continent vis-a-vis the rest of the world. It is important because there are a lot of benefits, not only for Nigeria, but, for the whole continent, because it will support what we are trying to do. That is achieving the post-2015 Africa Development Agenda, as well as the 2063, agenda. So it is important. And the benefits are there, a lot of benefits, from, agriculture to food production, to mining, to manufacturing, to financial services, and IT, and so many others. However, I must add that the way the arrangement is does not, favor some countries, especially those that are highly dependent on imports, and those that, have, very high or huge populations like Nigeria. Hence the reason why I believe Nigeria is dithering. Of course, I know that the government or the president has set up a committee, and it is actually looking, and a lot of the members, are members that are very experienced in this kind of thing, and they are seeking for advice, recommendations, and what have you. But if I may, one of the things that I believe is important and that needs to be addressed is the issue of dumping. Nigeria is a very important, very big country. We are over 200 million people. We are highly dependent on imports, and if we leave our borders, wide open, the concern is that a lot of these countries that are bordering with Nigeria, some of, which we know are quite small, much smaller than Nigeria, they will be in a position, for example, to be importing a lot of goods from other countries like China and what have you, and be dumping into Nigeria in the guise of CFTA. So I think that is one area. The second area is also, I believe that the fact or the experience that we've had, in being part of ETLS. ETLS is ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, which has been in effect for quite some time. It is a treaty similar to CFTA, but on a much smaller scale, because it is just within the West African region. It is an economic, bloc region, and which has been signed a long time ago. That is not really being, if you may, it's not, that arrangement is not being respected per se. Let me be open and honest about it. You see, if you look at what is happening in between Nigeria and Benin Republic in terms of, cross, border trade, the fact that we are all members of ETLS, I'm talking about Benin Republic and Nigeria, means that we should be able to move goods and services and people freely, without, tariffs, just similar to what is happening or what is being proposed as, CFTA. But that is not happening at all. A cement manufacturer in Nigeria is not allowed to go and sell cement in Benin Republic, even though Nigeria and Benin Republic are both members of the ETLS. That is one example. Another example is that in Burkina Faso, which also is a member of this arrangement, does not allow Nigeria or Nigerian companies to sell certain products or goods, if I may, like clinker. We are producing clinker in Sokoto, which is about 1,000 or so kilometers away from Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. And we cannot sell either cement or clinker to Burkina Faso. Yet they import clinker from China, from Turkey, from other parts of the world. And because Burkina Faso is a landlocked country, they have to take their goods all the way to Togo, and from Togo they now transport it by road to Ouagadougou, which means, double handling, because they import, they take to Togo, from Togo they transport to Ouagadougou. Yet we are just the same distance, as Ouagadougou from Lomé to Ouagadougou, but we are not allowed because the cement will be cheaper, or clinker will be much cheaper, about 30% cheaper.
What do you see is driving them to getting their clinker from Turkey?
This is what I don't know, and this is what we're trying to find out. Because we're going back to, just to buttress the reason why, or reasons why Nigeria maybe is different. This is my own opinion.
Right.
So it's like, from the experience we're having, if this treaty, which is smaller than what we're talking about, if this is not working, how are we sure that a bigger arrangement is going to work? But again, these are all issues that I believe, if discussed and addressed, maybe they will be resolved. So I think there is need for engagement between the private sector and the government. And I'm talking about African governments, so that most of these issues are addressed. Everybody is talking about the fact, why is it that Nigeria is not signed? Why is it that Nigeria has not signed?
You definitely understand what the Africa Continental Free Trade Area could add as value to Nigeria's economy, and maybe you could quantify that for me and give me a sense of who stands to benefit from this.
Everybody, the whole continent. As I said earlier, the benefits are immense, for the continent, for the private sector, for the people. Because if you look at it, you see that Africa is the last frontier. The whole world is coming to Africa. The whole world is looking to come to Africa. In the last 10 years alone, over 320 embassies have opened their doors in Africa. If we're able to integrate, we're able to open up the continent, the opportunities that are there would be a lot more than what we're even seeing now. So it is very, very important, and we stand to benefit more than anybody, but we have to get it right.